Hey everybody, this is Perch, and we did the first part of this, so hopefully you watched that video. If you didn't, go back and watch it. We're reviewing um, basically these Avengers annuals, and this was a two-parter, giant-sized annual. We talked about Avengers annual. This was part 2, which was in West Coast Avengers annual. If you remember this, Avengers are having a friendly rivalry baseball game. This would be something they'd continue in annuals to come. This is from the year of 1986. And the comic ended basically, well, it didn't just end. The baseball game got interrupted by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, who were working for the government at the time as Freedom Force, and basically they learned a traitor, somebody who was an Avenger, had basically turned testimony to the government, basically framing the Avengers for several of the things like the Vision taking over the world's computers and other things that was left out some of the details, but basically made the Avengers look bad. They had to escape from prison thanks to Spider-Woman, who helped them out. But that leads us to this two-parter. We're going to find out who is the traitor in our midst. And this, I remember this cover being the worst possible reveal, because it's like, who is the traitor? It's like, look at the little hair horns on the side of a head. Like, we all know who this is. Anyway, it was one of those cases of like, you couldn't have, there's a million ways you could have done this cover to actually have it be a surprise, but you instantly knew the second you watched this. But anyway, let's get into it. This was Steve Englehart and Mark Bright. Now the previous one was Ditko on initial breakdowns, and that one looked beautiful. But this is Mark Bright, who is just again, I'm always shocked by the people who don't know Mark Bright, because this guy is killer. Anyway, we start the issue with the Avengers basically on the run, and one kind of flaw, and I think somehow this went down, is we didn't see all the Avengers escape in the previous one, but this one it infers that they all escaped the vault where they had been kind of captured. So anyway, the Avengers realize they have to go down the list and figure out who try and frame them, and so they're going through all the Avengers. In this case, doing something kind of cool. They're going through a bunch of ones that didn't really, people we haven't seen in a while. They talk, is it the Thing? Is it, Moondragon? Well, she's dead. We talk about Hellcat. We get to Carol Danvers, definitely that bitch does everything wrong. We go through all these different basically members of the Avengers that could be likely candidates for turning on them. It's a good chance to do some cool little art remembering about all this. And they kind of come down to, it's got to be Thor, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, She-Hulk, Black Panther, Black Widow, Beast, and the Falcon. So they realize we got to reach out there and find everyone. And it's a chance for us to, once again, one of the coolest parts about this is that you get some good characterization, right? Hawkeye sounds like Hawkeye, Iron Man sounds like Iron Man. It's doing a great job. And Mark Bright, God bless him, can even make Wonder Man's costume look less shitty in this thing. So meanwhile, we're in this comic, and you get this kind of blurry, drafty person speeding around. I mean, because if you hadn't figured it out from the cover, they're dropping more clues. So the Avengers run around, and they basically go and talk to all these people about, hey, who would have framed us? And it's a chance to kind of show more of these characters. We get and in some cases, we get this cool moment where some of these former Avengers are going to go help out and join the fray. So we're getting an even bigger Avengers team as we see all this. So anyway, all pretty good. We also, this comic also, by surprise, gives us some interesting moments of kind of Black Widow meeting Mockingbird and having this interesting kind of jealous rivalry about each other, because both of them had dated Hawkeye. And again, all good stuff. And Scarlet Witch more or less figures it out as they interview her, saying, I can't be him, right? Who could this be? And they think, well, it's probably Quicksilver. And then Thor, being the dick he is, decides, it's got to be Hank Pym, because Hank Pym, beat up his wife at one point. And so they go down that path. And just as, they don't draw out the agony longer. So finally Quicksilver shows up and says, it's me. I wanted vengeance of you. I was never one of the group. You never, you betrayed me. You never helped me. You never you cut me off, and it's actually tying into a crap load of lore of his marriage to Quicksilver, cut off from everyone else, and you get this, and you get kind of the strength of Quicksilver because he's easily able to evade Captain Marvelous's the Monica Rambeau version, the Avengers are disappointed by this betrayal. You also get, Hank Pym realizing that Thor holds a grudge for what happened before. So anyway, as this is going on, Quicksilver meets up with his team, basically, who is the Zodiac. So you get the cartel of Gemini, Cancer, Taurus, and Aries. These are villains. Now, these villains have certainly connected. It's not like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. These are villains that we've seen show up before in Avengers comics, but here we're getting a little bit. It's not the most common fights, so you are realizing you're going to get some different things. We do catch up again with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and they're just to at least resolve that storyline. This is one case where comics really were trying to wrap up everything that they started, so they're escorted out. Basically said, we don't need you anymore at this point, and so. Anyway, the Avengers are going to kind of sneak back into New York and into their mansion and figure out a way to get in. And they basically come in through the sewers, which are huge and filled with clear water. But as they're coming in, this allows us to get the next step of this fight, which is going to be the Zodiac cartel versus the Avengers in Central Park. And it's again, Mark Bright is illustrating this beautifully. We get some pretty interesting fights between very different characters. It's a chance for the Avengers to be basically have some fights where they're on their heels a little bit. The Avengers are going to win. They're going to kind of resolve some of this, but it's still a case where you're able to see these characters struggle, and that's fun as well. So. Anyway, Quicksilver then shows up with the other members of the Zodiac. So he's basically got 3 Zodiac clusters. They're all going to cause various mayhem. So there's a lot of, at this point, you realize it's a bigger, because of Quicksilver's speed, he's able to be in more places at once. He lets a bunch of lions loose in a zoo. It kind of the entire purpose of these comics and these 2 issues are that they're fun. They definitely have a certain amount of lunacy to them. I mean, the Avengers are fighting in a circus. That's not exactly the most threatening thing, given we've seen them in the Kree Skull War and all kinds of stuff. But all the same, it still is unique environments. It's different characters fighting the Avengers. It's letting the personality of these guys come out. You're not getting just the Avengers kind of trashing these characters. You're seeing different things. Meanwhile, Hank Pym is kind of marshaling Scarlet Witch and Vision to go kind of deal with the brother. So anyway, we have these 3 places. The last one, the last of the Zodiac army is down in Australia. So again, you're getting very subtly globe-trotting different environments. With the Avengers going to face them. So you're seeing different teams. We've got the team of Thor, Black Panther, Falcon, Black Widow, and Rhodey, Iron Man. So it's kind of the reserve Avengers, for lack of a better word. So the Avengers are successful in all this, and they are able to kind of defeat Quicksilver and his various schemes to discredit and injure them for their betrayal. But when you think the Avengers have actually stopped all of the threats, we reveal that Quicksilver has got this particle beam weapon activator that is going to basically murder all the Avengers through these warheads. And as he's about to do it, Vision shows up to confront Quicksilver and say, "Look, I bring a gift to you. Look, these are your brother, your nephews, these 2 children, and you're over here declaring war on the Avengers, and you've turned your back on the team and all the rest, and a reminder of basically his family, which he's left behind by this new kind of rise of vengeance." And all of this causes Quicksilver to let go of his plan to murder everybody, and he runs off wanting to contemplate, saying, here's Tommy and Billy. It's one of the first times, we're seeing, we've seen the children before, but now we're seeing in a broader context with the Avengers. Obviously, they would, become, young Avengers themselves in the future. But as they go through this, it's been resolved. They don't feel necessarily good about it because, Quicksilver has been stopped, and now he's got a lot of things to think about. But it's still been a big deal. And as they're doing this, Hawkeye's like, well, let's get back to playing baseball, and I choose Thor for my team. And the other Avengers are like, the hell, we're talking about baseball at this point. And so he calls a bunch of campfire girls basically, and everybody attacks him. He runs for his life, and it's a laughter. It's a fun moment. We get the last shot of Quicksilver looking on from the cliffs from a distance, going, he can hear their laughter, but he's not a part of them. So it's kind of a somber end to this story. But overall, look, it was a fun 2 issues. Was it the most consequential? No. Although even this, a more of a jokey story, still managed to give Quicksilver not exactly a new status quo, but definitely cement him a little bit of where he stood in the Marvel Universe. Definitely did a good job of portraying not just the main Avengers, but a lot of the reserve and inactive Avengers. Give them a chance in the spotlight. We got to see some new villains, fights in new areas. It was 2 comics with a lot of material, and it's fun. Yeah, best story you've ever read? Absolutely not, but 2 fun issues. So Avengers Annual, West Coast Avengers Annual, pretty cool stuff. Back in the age-old time of 1986. Hopefully you've read these before. If not, go check them out. You can get them still pretty cheap. You just might have a hard time finding them because they're not the most... They're a bit rare. We'll just put it that way. But keep in mind, you'd get these bigger comics once a year in these annuals, and this was a kind of fun you could pick up and read, and you get these two comics, a little 2-parter there with a big story that, managed to be fun, strong characterization, good stuff, and also, fun. Just fun. It was a meaningful story, but not one that's going to break the entire universe or promise earth-shaking revelations. It was just fun. And that's what was good about comics then. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you read them? Are they fun? You got to go search them out. And thanks for listening.